All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to yet another episode on SokoChain. We're so uh, glad to have everyone here. We had an amazing episode last week with Wesley from Bit Markets, where we got an opportunity to talk about crypto markets, fundamentals, what is required for us to know before we get into the market. It was a fun episode. Please make a point of watching it as we jump into our episode for today. And our guest for today is none other than Ronald, who has an incredible journey from navigating the early days of crypto in Kenya to building projects that actually making blockchain accessible and meaningful for people. In this conversation today, we're going to hear about the challenges he's faced, the lessons he's learned, and the untold stories behind the African blockchain movement. So sit back and let's dive into Ronald's story. Ronald,
Oh,
welcome on
wow,
stage.
I'm in. Hi.
Hi,
Woo.
Ronald.
Hi, Faith. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm really delighted to be here. Big fan of, sharing African stories. And I think it's really important for guys to go back to the beginning just to make sense of, how it all started and how we got here. So thank you so much for having me. Hope we get to have so much fun.
Hey, we definitely will. I'm very eager to hear your story, to be honest, to just know how you started, the challenges you've been facing, because I know based on the career that you're in and like the area of work that you're in, I'm sure you get to experience a lot of blockchain projects and you'll tell us about that. And I can't wait to hear. And I'm sure even our guests can't wait to hear. So let's kick it off. Tell us how you even started in this blockchain and crypto journey. How
Yeah.
has you been?
Yeah, so there's usually two stories, like the official one that I share on, like um, you know, uh, when you're looking for like opportunities and things like that, and now there's the real story. Um,
We
and the
want
real
both.
story, the real story for me, which is the actual funny one, is a girl made me join the crypto space. Huh, quite interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, so I remember, like, I pursued like financial engineering back in campus, and towards the end there was this like really lovely lady who was talking about um how like crypto will be the future, and a Bitcoin will be this incredible asset that will be so rare, and people who own it will be so powerful. Yeah, and then I really liked this babe, but I couldn't have anything to say about crypto, man. Like, I felt so dumb, because I
I can
couldn't
imagine.
I couldn't contribute to anything. So I was seated um in between. There was another guy on to my right, and then now the babe, and then they were deliberating. So the babe was talking about Bitcoin, and then this other guy was just saying how Ethereum is gonna be bigger than Bitcoin at some point, and I had nothing to contribute. Yeah, and that really frustrated me because I wondered, how is it possible that a person pursuing financial engineering, someone who understands the inefficiencies of the financial market and the complex derivatives created by a few math geniuses, and here I was, I can't understand what these people are talking about, right?
Yeah.
This frustration drove me to search for everything related to crypto, and then I discovered a book called um, Blockchain and Money. Sorry, not Blockchain and Money, but Blockchain Revolution by
Yeah.
Don Tapscott. And man, I buried myself into this book. I even had a, what do you call this, like a notebook where every single day I will sit down, read,
Yeah.
write notes, um, spend time on the internet to dive deep, understand a bit more about um, what the space is all about and the value proposition. So in about 3 months or so, I was really, really good with understanding what blockchain technology is and its promise to um, bring financial inclusion.
That's quite interesting for you. And I can imagine, because for me, I got into the space through a conference. So I can imagine there's so many people and people are just talking um, things with very difficult
Yeah, yeah.
jargon that I've never
Mhm.
come across. But for you, it's on another level because there's this babe over here. Obviously, you want to sound smart. You also
Yeah,
want to
man.
contribute. You want to
Uh,
impress.
yeah.
It was quite something.
So
You are baptized by fire.
yeah. Yeah. So I even remember when like things started working out for me in the space. There's a time I reached out and I was like, hey, thank you for bringing up that conversation on that particular day, because I honestly think if you never did it, I will
Yeah,
never have interest to think about diving deep and exploring its potential use cases to the world. And maybe just to add a bit more about now,
yeah,
um, after acquiring this knowledge, what next, right? So um, after burying myself, that was the first book I read, like around 4 to 5 books. Man, and because of my financial background,
yeah,
these concepts connected so deeply and connected so well.
yeah,
Yeah, so I remember this one time, it was towards the end of 2021. I was always thinking, okay, now that I have all this knowledge, what can I do about it? Because at the time, the community was relatively smaller than we have today.
yeah,
So a friend just shared, hey, you've been talking about this blockchain thing. There is this meetup being hosted by Celo. That was in back in 2021, somewhere in Baraza. That was in Riverside Drive. And then
yeah,
I was like, okay, let me just. I don't even know at the time what Celo is. So I show up.
yeah,
I show up at this meetup, very, very small, very intimate. I meet Web3 clubs people. I meet Daniel Kimoto, and then at the time, because I'm really shy and not used to saying hi to strangers, um, the folks at Web3 clubs are like, hey, I feel like you have very interesting ideas and you should take time to connect with the Celo team,
yeah.
see what they plan to work on, and see if you guys could collaborate and figure something out. And yeah, that's how I landed to um, get a chance to contribute at Celo for, I think, the past 3 years. Been really incredible journey.
That's interesting. Even because I was gonna ask you how you landed at Celo,
Yeah.
because you currently work at Celo, right?
Yes. So, I'll share that. I'll share more context on that as well.
Yeah.
So, while at Celo, like things evolved a bit.
Mm,
Where initially there was folks contributing to the Celo Foundation, right, which was
yeah.
like super super incredible, and then uh, in 2023, there was more need to decentralize Celo's efforts, especially in different regions across the world, right? Especially in Latin America, Africa, and Asia. And as a result, we saw it wise to have like a regional hub
Mm,
um, that collaborates with the Celo Foundation
yeah.
instead of working under them. And what this means is, because we are Africans,
Yeah.
we I've lived in Nairobi, I've spent some time in Nigeria, I've spent some time in other African countries. I know um like our biggest problems, our biggest challenges, and how to approach them compared to
Yeah.
um like having someone from San Francisco who may not have all this context, right? And so it just made sense to have the Africa DAO where we work in sync. So what we will do is say, hey, this is what we want to focus on for
Yeah.
the next year, and we meet with Celo Foundation and brainstorm and share best ideas and share best practices on how to approach it, and they give us the autonomy to execute, which was way much better than what we had previously. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And even like analyzing, if we can just analyze it and break it down, the importance of having people on ground who understand our stories, who understand how we operate, like our behaviors when it comes to innovation and exposure and all these things. Having for you guys to have gone and told them that we would want like a separate thing that is Africa DAO, where we can be able to now have a place where us as Africans we can be able to share our, the stories and even interact with people from a point of relatability, as opposed to having, it's not a bad thing, but having someone from, as you said, someone from San Francisco who is coming to build in Africa, yet they don't know what our pain points are. That's a very good point, and
Yeah,
people should
yeah,
actually take
yeah,
that as a take home note. So
100%. Yeah.
at what point, Ronald, did you realize that this is actually the place that you want to grow in terms of your career? Because from what I've picked, you are right from Campo, then you got into this space through your research, and then you got introduced into Celo, and the fact that now from there you've been working with them for close to over 3 years.
Yeah.
What has been those moments that are just cementing that this is actually where you want to be in terms of your career?
Yeah, so like I said, I had a like really good financial background, and yeah, I was um a really good student at the same time. Like um had opportunities to intern in like places outside Kenya, and had so much fun doing that. And so um the truth of the matter is, before exploring the blockchain path, I was on the traditional route path, where I was exploring, you know, um, investment banking. And so, yeah, I remember getting an offer from, uh, uh, what will you call it, an investment bank here in Kenya. And
Yeah,
yeah, I tried it for a bit, and then for some reason, I didn't find it, like this was, remember, I'm connected with the Celo team in towards the end of 2021. But at the beginning, I got an offer
yeah,
to work at like an investment bank, and then yeah, I tried it for a few days,
yeah,
and I could feel that this is not the trajectory I want to be in, right? Because yeah, I felt that like the investment banking field in Kenya at the time was like uh very traditional, right? Not
yeah,
open to, adopt computer algorithms for trading and things like that. Guys still wanted us to use, Excel sheets to punch in numbers. Yeah, and I honestly didn't think that that was the path I wanted to be on, wearing the suits and the likes. And
yeah,
so it was very disappointing when I told my parents that, hey, I don't think I'm gonna do that job anymore. Yeah, and they were really scared for me, because they were like, man, what's next? So at the time, there was a startup in fintech that was, looking for data people. And in my campus years, again, because of the background I
mhm,
had worked on a machine learning project,
yeah,
right? That uh, had something to do with credit scoring, and this fintech was in the lending space. So much made in heaven. So I had a chance to work at this fintech startup,
yeah,
um, from around April all the way to December 2021. And
yeah,
then also, for some reason, because of of how difficult sometimes the startup environment can be in the African space, it was just really difficult to scale or see a path forward. Yeah. So when I met the Celo team in December, I had already spent at least the whole year just um, working in a startup, which was like an extremely difficult place, because you're constantly shipping constantly, working on new things, changing direction, pivoting.
Yeah.
Trying to today you're working on a tech solution. Tomorrow you're pitching to potential investors, um, and these investors, like they're very promising. You smile, you shake hands, and then the
Yeah.
money never comes. Crazy times, but grateful for the experience nonetheless. So by the time I joined Celo, I was like, wow, here's a world where one, I get to be part of the future of finance.
Yeah.
Two, I get to work with a young, diverse team that is, very unconventional people, guys who make you think differently, and you're
Yeah.
constantly learning new things every single day, right?
Yeah.
You wake up, you're talking about regenerative finance. You go to bed, NFTs are a thing. The
Yeah.
next day, you're looking at, um, decentralized finance and lending. Wow. So like it always felt like um, I'm living on the edge by being with the team at Celo, and I have
Mm.
the incredible opportunity to present my my small ideas from my little corner of the world, and
Yeah.
have the opportunity to see my small ideas being implemented and changing people's lives in real time. So super
That's
super incredible.
that was a good introduction for you into the job market, because looking at the difference of how traditional finance is from even the most basic one, which is how to dress, and crossing over to the blockchain and crypto space, and just seeing how people usually just show up very relaxed in terms of
Mm,
how they're dressed,
yeah.
the engagement as well, and
Mhm.
also just having to be in a space where your ideas are accommodated and appreciated and taken in. It's such a good space to be at. And I just want you to give our audience a brief introduction of what Celo is, because we're going to dive into now the incubation part of what you
Mhm.
guys do. So,
Amazing.
briefly, what is Celo?
Wow. Yeah. Let me take you back to the beginning. 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah,
So funny enough, when um, Rene and team set out to build Celo, they were looking at building
yeah,
a, a financial inclusive solution, right? They wanted to do something like a wallet, right? Um,
yeah,
and essentially, they wanted to build this wallet, and this wallet was meant for guys living in emerging markets, right? Places like Latam, Southeast Asia, and Africa, to ensure that folks from this region could send or receive money from anywhere on earth at a very cheap and low cost. But then
yeah,
at the time, oh, they wanted to build this on Ethereum, right?
yeah,
Man, it became like impossible because if it was to exist on Ethereum at the time, it will be really, really expensive. And they are looking at the unbanked people in this different, this emerging part of the world.
yeah,
Um, and they ran into their first bottleneck. And as a result, they thought, okay, wow, perhaps we just need to build out the rails ourselves and ensure that um, for our blockchain, we get to make it as cheap as possible. Yeah.
mm,
So at the time, Celo was a blockchain infrastructure network designed
yeah,
to bring about financial inclusion in emerging markets, right?
yeah,
And so that was done. They started figuring out different ramps to work with to ensure that guys could send money, guys could receive money, etc.
yeah,
And just to like even give you more context, yeah, I remember like summer in 2022,
yeah,
Celo did a pilot with Kotani Pay where they were like, hey, what will it look like to partner with,
mm,
you know, uh, some refugee, like non-profit organization that usually sends money to refugees, and
yeah,
they send it through stable coins using Celo's uh, blockchain, and then used Kotani Pay for guys to off ramp. And at the time, Kotani Pay had a USSD option, so um, you could, using a feature phone, access stable coins and convert them to fiat really
Mm,
easy and seamlessly, which was like super brilliant. So for Celo, they were not looking at doing, like complex infrastructure, complex tech. They were looking at solving huge pain point that exists in emerging markets. However, as
mm.
Ethereum underwent the merge, and it moved from proof of work to proof of stake. The visions aligned, and so Celo became Celo came back home to Ethereum and became a layer two designed to ensure seamless uh, seamless financial transactions and financial inclusion across emerging markets. So right now, Celo
Mm.
is layer two that lives on top of Ethereum to just make transactions super easy and cheap.
That's a very good introduction of Celo. For me, I think I would have just said it's a it's a layer two blockchain. But thank you for taking us through the journey of how it was even founded. It's a very good journey. And now coming to where Celo is and being able to, now it's a layer two product, and now they want people to build on Celo. Then comes the opportunity for you to be able to work as in this incubation hub to get projects to build on Celo. How has that been?
Wow. Yeah. So I remember like in the beginning, and I always like to say that, you know, um, Celo has laid infrastructure
Mm,
for you know, most of the projects we have in Kenya today, right? Think of Kotani
yeah,
Pay, think of Honeycoin, and all this came, all these great folks, right? They came from Celo. Why? At the time, um, like people from SF usually are like, uh, super excited. They're like, hey, want, I would be excited for guys to build. Oh, and then they realize, okay, we want guys to build, but there's a huge gap
yeah,
with skills and competencies. So you have to go back to the drawing board and think
mm,
about starting this from scratch. And Selo took that very difficult approach
yeah,
of starting things from scratch. How do you do that? One, you commit to, hanging out with developers and doing workshops with them over and over and over and over. I remember in like 2022, we used
yeah,
to have weekly, almost every Saturday, we would hang out with the devs
mm,
and figure out concepts with them. And it was very slow, very
yeah,
boring, very difficult, right? Because guys, usually how excited guys are when it's a new chain, and then guys think about, wow, we're probably gonna get grants here, and guys, guys vlog, and
yeah.
then they realize, oh,
These people are
these things are
serious.
hard.
They're not just
These things
about
are hard, man. Like we
yeah,
have to, you have to like actually learn, you know, smart contract, figure out the front end, figure out,
yeah,
okay, hey, does my product actually add value? Take it to market, test it out with a few users, be able to scale it. Oof, incredibly difficult, right? So
yeah.
I remember when we started our workshops, we had like so many people, man, and then like over time, the
Mm.
numbers, guys are just running away because, man, it is difficult, right? But we found that
What would you say was the thing that made the ones who remained to remain and to
exactly,
work
I
on
think
the products that you're
it's
seeing today?
it's like deep belief in what they are building, and
Mm.
a long-term vision to actually solve a problem, right?
Yeah,
Because we found that over time, like with the few guys who are remaining, they were actually interested in, building out something end to end to serve a particular use case, right? They were
Yeah.
yes, the grants and the funding, of course, will be nice, but for them, it was solving this problem that was the top priority, and that's why you've seen like folks like Honeycoin and Contani Pay be able to grow so much and be in the position they are in right now with other folks as well. Yeah, and so when these guys they started becoming, really good, we started now doing hackathons, and then in these hackathons we could see guys are developing products that are ready to go to the real world, and then we were like, okay, perhaps uh, we are now ready to support these guys a bit more in helping them figure out how do we take this product to market, be able to have real people using it, and be able to raise venture capital money to ensure it scales across different geographies in Africa. Yeah, so
Mm,
it's been a really interesting journey.
mm,
Taught me a lot. Very humbling at times because you're like, man, what's going on here? Especially when guys start, reducing, and then I realized, hey, you know what? It's not about being popular. It's not about making so much noise. It's about um, actually caring about the builders
mm.
who want to build and figuring out how best to show up and support them to increase their odds of success.
100%. And you guys have done an amazing job from the applications that we are seeing, the projects that you're seeing, the examples of Kotani Pay and Honeycoin. I'm sure it's also a very proud moment for you guys to see them grow and to get into a point where they are right now with the big news that they're always sharing,
Yeah, yeah,
which is very good.
super
What would
amazing.
you say the journey has been in the context of where we are right now in Kenya and Africa at large in terms of blockchain adoption from the projects that you guys have worked on that we've seen get into the market, and also those that have didn't get the chance to get to the market because of one reason or another. What has that adoption journey been like?
Wow, pretty interesting, man. Wow, because I think
Yeah,
um, working closely with projects, you get to learn a lot about people as well, right? You see greed at like you get to experience how bad this can be. And yeah, I'll give you an example. I remember there was a project in the early days, had a really strong team, right? Very,
yeah,
very capable team. Um, very well put together, very well organized, and guys were like really hungry to get to work on a very innovative use case at the time. But you found that because like one person of this team was like really greedy, you'd find that, hey, because these people have sort of like made a really good MVP, they were unable to unlock as relatively small grants to be able to allow them to get to the next stage of development.
yeah,
But because one person of the team is relatively greedy, they choose to um, think about their interest and then want to keep these resources for themselves, and then they get to disappear. And stories like this really break your heart because you just think about what a good add to to the ecosystem that project will do to that what good this project will serve to the ecosystem, and it really breaks your heart. I think something else was at the time, like
yeah,
um, Kenya was in a very weird place, regulatory speaking, in
yeah,
that a a project that you work with closely has a very innovative idea. They've tested it out.
mm,
They've uh, spoken to a few customers, and they know that, hey, this is a solution that's actually needed. But then once they get to deploy, and
yeah,
then Safaricom knows about them, and then maybe Africa's talking, who power the USSD thing, gets to know, oh, wow, they're having a crypto offering. They get to
Yeah.
shut it down, and the project stalls, and they don't know what to do about that, and they're just stuck, right? And these are like really brilliant people who would, like, get to bring so much value. And yeah, and then such a founder reaches out and is like, hey, I got into this bottleneck, what do we do?
Yeah.
And you don't know how to, like, you can't go to Safaricom and tell them, hey guys, I need you to lift the ban on these people, let
Yeah.
them do their thing.
Yeah.
And seeing such things tall, brilliant people, um, takes a toll on you as well. But on the flip side,
Yeah.
seeing other founders, especially those working on DeFi, uh, financial inclusion,
Yeah.
kind of use cases, seeing them start really small and scale and grow and cover different geographies from Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania to even South Africa and beyond, has been really encouraging all the same. So it's been an interesting journey with
Yeah.
both sides of the coin, like the really good, the bad, and figuring out that, hey, you can really sometimes you can really try everything, but at the same time, geography really matters, because if you're living in a country that has relatively conservative laws and they're not open to innovation, that can really stifle and kill
Yeah.
the most brilliant founders who are thinking, who outpace the regulation that are in place. And something else that I've seen also is, over time, I've
Mm.
seen the ecosystem mature, right?
Yeah.
In the very beginning, it felt like guys were just hungry for grants, and and I have no problem with that. Yeah, I understand that. Hey, we want to make a living and do such things, but not at the expense of creating things that don't add value. So
Yeah.
I've seen the ecosystem mature, where we're in a place that guys are really more intentional about what they're building now. You see the quality of projects have improved relatively, right? Because
Yeah.
at the time, guys here, okay, it's an NFT mania, 2021, 2022, it's an NFT mania.
Mm.
Guys are, selling NFTs for $69 million. Perfect. We will figure out something about NFTs and pitch it. We'll figure out something about metaverse and pitch it, right? But
Yeah.
now guys are taking the approach where they're thinking about, okay, hey, this is our context in Kenya, for instance. Okay,
Mm.
so we have this problem, and I'm building this problem specifically for this group of people. So for us, I feel
Mm.
like we're in a place where now it's about the problems that are present first, and
Yeah.
trying to build on top of that to solve this particular problem, other than this is what's going on elsewhere. So we are riding on that hype and bubble to be able to create this thing that we think is needed. Yeah.
100%. I agree with you on all the points that you've shared. There was a time where people were just moving with the crowd. Whatever is booming in the West, regardless of whether it works for us as Africans and as Kenyans, you'll just find people flocking and wanting to build within that particular industry. And fine, people were able to make something small out of it, but at the end of the day, it's not a viable project. It's not a project that is solving the problem, that it's not bringing a long-term solution per se. And we're seeing right now so many projects that are coming up, and it's good to say that the projects we're seeing right now are not only limited to solving financial issues, because also for a very long time, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the projects that were being presented more so to different chains or different networks were just solving the financial problem. Yet in Africa, we have so many other issues that we can be able to look around and build to solve those problems. And it's a good thing that right now we're seeing people building solutions in relation to agriculture, in relation to like hospitals, different management systems, all in all, and just seeing the evolution of how people are taking blockchain technology as it is and now building to solve real life problems and not just move with the wave, of which I like to say it was just a phase that was there. It was a new technology. These chains are here, they're ready to offer grants. We're seeing something is booming, we build on it, fine, the wave ended, but right now we're seeing strong projects that are actually solving our problems. And for you, Ronald, you've had the privilege of traveling around Africa and interacting with different ecosystems within the African continent. What would you say are some of those stories that are not told about what is actually happening in terms of the projects that we're building, the adoption? What are some of those untold stories?
Wow, I think before going to Nigeria, I used to see this project, some projects working on things like waste, and I was just like, "Oh, man, come on, like, what are you talking about? Waste management, it's I could just hear waste and I'm like already bored, like my mind switch offs in an instant. Yeah, but
Yeah,
then I had a chance to visit in this country and stay there for a couple of weeks. Wow, man, it really made sense, right? It made so much sense because like how the country works is like they don't have like a proper waste management system, so it's really messy, right? And seeing um young brilliant folks think about solving this issue deeply. One, think
yeah,
about how to monetize it as well, and think about like incentivizing the community around them to be able to participate. uh,
yeah,
was super incredible and awesome to just watch and see it play out, man. I think, yeah, up to date, it's really, that's one of the things that took me by surprise and really changed my perception. So right now, usually I'm like, hey, if you hear like a relatively new idea without understanding a context, just
yeah.
take your time to do more research. Yeah, and another project that I found particularly interesting was uh, one that was trying to do something with this, the tuk-tuks thing. So they
Mm,
were trying to, uh, figure out how to help drivers on their tuk-tuk, and liquidity providers provide the money for this tuk-tuk, provide how this works is you are able to, there's a tuk-tuk, and then you can be like a fractional owner, so they've tokenized
yeah.
the ownership of this tuk-tuk, and then as the driver drives around and looks to own it fully, they get
Mm,
to pay small interest, which is um, paid back to the guys who contributed the liquidity. I found that to be like super incredible and just a testament to how guys are really thinking about solving like real world problems in
mm,
their community. Yeah, that was in Ghana. And then in Kenya, I think at the time I had opportunity to meet with Trevor
mm,
Kimani, who
yeah.
was tokenizing real estate. And at first I heard him talk, I'm like, bro, you have no idea what you're talking about. Man. And then I saw that he had actually followed the due diligence, spoke with people, been able to raise money from fractional investors to be able to do the Hotani project in New Kitusuru. And
Mm,
I actually had a chance to visit and see. Man, I was just taken aback by how brilliant folks are when they go ahead to think about solving a need. and in all these different cases, one is thinking about waste, one is thinking about, hey, how do we grant investment opportunities to guys who may not have $100,000 to invest in a property, but they they can still own such a property. And then for the DeFi tuk merger in Ghana was,
Yeah.
hey, it's also possible for Africans, to provide liquidity, and then this liquidity can go into purchase of these tuk-tuks, which can be owned by the drivers who can pay interest.
Yeah.
Um, Very, very interesting use cases. Yeah, always find these stories fascinating. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think for me right now, like I've uh, been sort of like more open into sort of like not bashing ideas just when I hear of them, but
Mm.
waiting a bit to understand the local context before I'm able to come up with a response or analyze the project. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And what you've said, we shouldn't be too quick to dismiss ideas because we view things from different lenses and we are all experiencing different pain points. And someone can be able to bring a solution to a pain point that to you, you can deem it as irrelevant or even non existence because of where one comes from. And that's really good to hear of such brilliant ideas. I'm sure there's so many people who are building even here locally and they're wondering if like the project that I'm building, how do I go about it? How do I even find a space whereby I can even be incubated? What advice would you give them? What advice would you give somebody who has an idea or has already the idea has already morphed into something else and they're already building? How would you guide them into what you do in terms of incubating projects?
Wow. Yeah. So um, part of the reason why we started this incubator thing was there was a gap. You find that uh, very technically capable people
Yeah.
really struggle with the business side of things, right?
Mm.
Because yeah, like after spending time with devs, you'd see, man, they've like even done the auditing for the smart contract themselves, and they're like super secure and they're really good, and they figured out how to navigate a certain challenge. And my goodness, it's mind-boggling and really amazing, right? But then
Yeah.
they have this product, and then they're stuck. Uh,
Mm.
just like, okay, yeah, we have this, because you always feel like if especially as a young engineer, you always feel like, wow, you're just another guy writing code over there,
Yeah.
and you think, man, I'll have this great product, people will love it, you know sell it, or it will maybe trade publicly someday, and then I'll
Yeah.
be a billionaire and life is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then quickly they realize, oh, okay, the real world doesn't work like that. You need, actual users that use your product on a day-to-day, partners
Yeah.
who you integrate with that can help you, if it's liquidity or what, uh,
Yeah.
you know, across marketing efforts for people to actually know and care about what it is that you do.
Yeah.
Um, and we said, hey, as a result, let's do this. Let's uh, set up this uh, hub where these
Mm.
guys can come and we can support them through one, um, providing mentorship and guidance. So what we do in our incubator is, like, for around 3 months or so,
Yeah.
um, founders come in,
Yeah.
right? And then we have a curated list of really brilliant mentors, guys who've been VCs, guys who've built projects before and scaled them or even exited. So these are guys who've been in the journey. They're
Mm.
just in a different place right now. Like, they were founders initially, and then they've been able to scale their product and grow. Some of them
Yeah.
are founders who turn to be investors and founders again. So you have like an experienced mentor network who are not giving you advice, but who have walked the path you have, right?
Yeah.
So they are best placed to tell you, hey, this is how you can think about this. This is how you can approach go to market. This is how you can think about setting up your company to avoid legal
Mm.
issues on this side, because I remember doing this and it got me into this trouble. Yeah, so that's one. And then two, distribution is king, right? We've
Mm.
seen like how Circle, for instance, has been able to, scale really quickly, grow, um, you know, like the amount of USDC in circulation. Uh,
Yeah.
Not because they're a really brilliant team, but it's because they've figured out distribution so well, right? And worked with Coinbase, is here and there. Um, they were able to get um, more users in a very short time. So
Mm.
we also help projects with distribution, right? That is MiniPay. MiniPay, when I remember, like, when the idea started 2 years ago,
Mm.
it's like, man, do we really want to work on this? Wow, because uh, the whole idea for MiniPay was, remember, MiniPay is a product owned by Opera, and Opera is a browser that has freelancers and contributors all around the world. And Opera had a big challenge. They have these freelancers that they were struggling to pay.
Yeah.
Because one is in Nigeria, another one is in Kenya, another one is in Ghana, another one is in Morocco. Man, how it's getting to pay them is like a headache on their own. And then they thought, we have blockchain tech right now that we can leverage, and
Mm.
stable coins, and let's focus on that one use case. And then they thought, wow, the other Africans who are going through the same challenges, so let's build this thing for us and for other Africans going through problems we go through. And then it's been able to, 2 years in, like right now they have like 10 million users. So
Mm.
if a project comes into incubator and they're like really successful, um, they are presented the opportunity to, one,
Mm.
leverage this distribution network where they can build their app on MiniPay. And
Yeah.
Paytm Finance is a key example, right?
Yeah.
So I have MiniPay wallet, right?
Yeah.
And I have my stable coins over there, whether it's USDT or USDC or CUSD.
Mm.
Um, I am traveling from Nigeria. I just landed to Kenya. I have
Yeah.
my my USDT in that wallet.
Mm.
Um, because I am a MiniPay user,
Mm.
I have access to Paytm Finance as a mini app, right? And I'm
Yeah.
able to just say how instead of figuring out the off ramping. I don't even have M-Pesa yet. I don't know. I just landed at the airport. I need to pay. Hey, you know what? I can just use Paytm Finance to send money to my driver, who will take me
Mm.
to maybe even my hotel first, and then I can go to Sarit and get a SIM card and figure things out from there.
Yeah.
And so uh, Paytm, as an example, was able to reach so many users than they would have by
Mm.
themselves, right? Because
Mm. Yeah.
Paytm has access to all these users, right? The millions of users across Africa, they have access to them. So the other thing is distribution. We help the founders,
Mm.
if their project like really makes sense, have a large distribution network,
Yeah.
which can translate to increasing their daily active users, which can translate to, creating a compelling use case, a compelling case for them to raise money from investors. And then the third piece is we work closely with, at least for now, two VC firms called Very Early Ventures and also Vada Ventures. And these people rely on us to share insights, right? Intelligence,
Yeah.
um, deal flow, pipeline, um, because we are the ones living in Africa. We are the ones working these projects on a day to day. I
Yeah.
can tell a person like the partner at Ovada Ventures, for instance, like, hey, I've been working with this project closely,
Yeah.
and uh, they've been able to leverage the MiniPay distribution, and users are staking. Um, they really need to scale. They just need capital injection to be able to
Mhm.
launch in Uganda, in South Africa, in Nigeria, and beyond.
Yeah.
And then they're like, wow, really interesting. Let's chat with the team. This pretty much was like an example of this. Like
Yeah.
they were able to introduce the team on September, and October. The VCs made an investment, right? It doesn't happen in the average world, especially
Yeah.
if you're like a first time founder. Um, yeah, and so that's the value we try to bring in. It's the mentorship, helping you really think about the business side of things, to help you leverage a distribution network, and three, if a project is like super amazing, uh,
Yeah.
give you, access to investors. And then lastly, we provide small grants as well to teams that are really capable,
Yeah.
and we see that, okay, these guys are good. It's just that they lack the resources to get to stage B. So
Yeah.
let's help them with these resources to get to stage B, and then they'll be able to figure it out from there. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey.
Nice.
Super interesting, super amazing. We have the cohort taking place right now. Actually, it's
Yeah.
going to conclude in like 4 weeks or so.
Yeah.
We see teams that are very capable over there. Yeah, and then something else. You see,
Yeah.
our mentor network. Some of these people are angel investors, right? They're guys who've been in the space, um, made good returns with their private investments, etc. And
Yeah.
because they know what it's like and how difficult it can be to be a first time founder, for instance,
Yeah.
they are like super open to do small investments to these projects because they're investing their own money. Yeah, and I remember even like a couple of weeks back, uh, one of the mentors was like, hey, I really loved project one, two, and three.
Yeah.
Please put me in touch. I want to see if I can do um, my own angel investments very, very privately, very silently, very chill,
That's
just to ensure
incredible.
that these guys are become really successful over time. And so, yeah, that's what we try and do. And then finally, what we also try is do cross marketing awareness,
Mm-hmm.
because Celo has a relatively large community base and following. Will be like, hey, um, come use our platform to talk
Yeah.
about what it is that you do,
Yeah.
and hopefully, potentially, you could lock in new partners, find new users, and you just um, increase your odds once again.
That's incredible. You guys are doing a lot. Even I feel like if I'm building something, why look any further than
Yeah.
build on Celo? Because you guys, you're offering great support, mentorship, grants, VCs. Like generally, you're offering great support to builders. And if you're a builder out there who's listening to this conversation, please, you can consider reaching out to Ronald and the Celo team, and they're gonna basically break down how they can be able to be of assistance to you. And now, as we wind up, because we're 50 minutes into the
Wow. Yeah, yeah,
conversation,
yeah. Man, I just, oh my
and
goodness.
you are saying you're
Yeah.
someone who doesn't talk a lot,
Yeah, yeah. I don't talk a lot actually. I'm just super
but
chill guy.
the
Yeah.
insights, thank you so much. Where can the SokoChain community find you and your team?
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So my team, you can find us at selloafricadao.xyz. Usually there's like a contact page over there. Just ping us and we'll be able to respond. also on X, we can have Celo Africa DAO on Twitter. Just feel free to reach out and I will respond. Yeah, for me personally, it's Nzioki Analu. So can just search Nzioki Analu on X and yeah, ping me over there. I'll be try to be as sometimes I forget social media exists, but yeah, I can't. I'll try to respond as soon as I can. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Ronald. And as we wind up, if crypto and blockchain was a book in terms of writing about adoption in Africa, what chapter do you think we would be at right now?
Chapter, is it numbers or the title?
It can be chapter in terms of numbers or chapter in terms of title. Combine.
Yeah, I think I'd say chapter 3, and I'll call it Ride of a Lifetime. What I mean here is,
Yeah.
hey, we started this wave, super exciting. Guys are excited. Woo, crypto is going to the moon. And then there was this sad wave. People losing money. Guys are getting scammed. Valuations are dropping left, right, and center. Grants are freezing up. And then right now we have like guys who stick around, like those cracked people who stick around and really think, hey, perhaps there's something here. And we see these like really incredible use cases that can only exist on chain. And no matter what has happened or what continues happening, we will push right through and still work on these great products. Yeah, so I think yeah, that's what I'd call it essentially within this ride of a lifetime where we've had highs, lows, and now we're getting to normalcy.
All right, guys, you've had it. We are in chapter 3. The title is Ride of a Lifetime.
Yes.
What a way to end our episode. Yeah, so that's the Ride of a Lifetime, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hope you had so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it has been an amazing episode, Ronald. Thank you so much for honoring us with your visit, for sharing great insights about your journey, about Celo, the incubation process that you guys are doing. And it's such an amazing conversation. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you had a great experience understanding what blockchain is, understanding Ronald's journey, and just seeing some similarities from his journey to your journey. So hoping to see you next week. Have a lovely week.